live, guys.
Hey, thank you guys so very much for tuning in tonight. I know this is a very different time, so we are doing things tonight via Skype and have some special guests in here tonight, JP France and Jessica McCain. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. And of course, we have your gorgeous host, Brittany Baldessari, who I'm so excited to be back tonight. I know it's been a while. Brittany, thank you for having me back on tonight.
I am so excited to have you back in the studio, and I know the second half of the show, when we talk about charity, we are so amped up to hear all about all the great things that you've been doing in and around the city. So we are going to jump right into it, but let's talk all about Marcus Smart. So Marcus Smart, we're going to pop up this photo. As you guys know, Marcus Smart, guys, is recently getting over having COVID-19. All of you know that's why we're doing the show lately from home. Everybody is really deathly afraid of getting COVID-19, and Marcus Smart is currently getting over having the illness. So I wanted to get your take on the whole illness. Emma, I know that Jacoby, your husband, actually is immunocompromised, and you've been taking some precautions. So if you were a professional athlete, how would you be handling having no sports, but also trying to watch out for your health?
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a terrifying thing, especially knowing that. So with my husband, it's really crazy because the thing that makes me the most nervous is that just before we got married, he wound up getting a bout of exhaustion, which is crazy because you would think for most people, they get exhaustion. Okay, you just lay down, like you're just having a hard day. For him, it was wild because I watched him collapse on the floor of his brewery and had to physically carry him somehow to my car to take him to the hospital. And it was the scariest moment of my life. And when I think about this, I realize that the scary thing about COVID-19 is you've seen all these ranges of symptoms, right? You've seen people go from being completely fine, no symptoms whatsoever, but just carrying it, to people that have just died from getting it. I mean, it's the scariest thing. And the problem with being immunocompromised is you don't know if you're going to be one of those people that, okay, maybe it won't affect your specific issue, or, maybe it will. And so the hardest thing for us has been, especially social distancing. That's something that we have been practicing really heavily. Just making sure that you're away from everybody. I'm crazy with the Lysol spray. If you come to my house, I haven't seen my mom in 3 weeks. And even if we get any Amazon packages, I'm out there with the Lysol, just getting everything down with the Lysol spray, the wipes, everything. You have to be totally careful. And I imagine that for a player, it's exceedingly difficult because you're always surrounded by the guys, right? And on top of that, you want to make time for your family and friends that, now you have this time off. I'm sure you want to see them and spend time with them. Usually you don't get this much, but you can't. So I imagine for them it's very difficult, but lucky for them, they have some really great doctors in their corner that I'm sure are giving them really good advice.
What I think is super interesting, now that the players aren't playing, a lot of the players are almost in an off season all over again, which we will get to talk to JP France about that shortly, because he recently flew down to spring training and basically flew right back home and didn't get that much training in. So when we talk to him in the next couple of minutes, we're going to be asking him all about that situation. But what I find really interesting is that since there's no live sports, they're trying to do this weird setup where they're doing a lot of, they're calling them iRacing, or they're having WWE matches without fans, and they're trying to do a horse basketball tournament with Steph Curry, LeBron James. I don't know if you ever played the game Horse as a kid, but you basically stand around the hoop and you shoot from a certain spot, and if you land that basket, the other person has to shoot from that spot, and if they miss it, they get a letter like an H. So what do you think about that whole situation? Do you think that's going to be fun for people to watch? I personally would rather them just can that, not even bother with it, because that's not sports. Let's just wait for the athletes to come back and actually play the game. And I don't think it's that entertaining to watch them play horse. We know that they can do these trick shots. They're professional athletes.
So I think it's interesting you say that, because I actually, for my blog post that I'm working on tomorrow, which I'm going to talk more about later, it had to do with a celebrity that used her talents to actually play the game of horse to raise money for a charity. which I think if they did that aspect, that would be interesting because you're putting something on the line. So if these people are playing for charity, I think that that would be a really great idea because that way, you know, there's something that they're playing for. I mean, just watching people play the game is interesting, of course, you know, and it's giving the fans something so that it's, you know, people are craving sports right now. I'm sure people are like some people are like, I'll watch anything. But I think it would be good if there was some kind of charity involvement, or maybe something, just something, put something on the line, make it interesting. Why not? That's what I think.
I 100% agree with that. If they're playing for a charity and giving back somehow, that would be absolutely incredible. And speaking of giving back to the community, Bob Kraft literally sent over the New England Patriots airplane over to China, which we have the photo showing right here. Look at how many boxes of masks. I think they got over 1 million masks, and they flew them back here to Boston, gave them to the hospitals, and also hand drove some of these to New Jersey and New York, which is super cool. Even though we have our rivalry in New York, they still gave those masks out there, which I think is really awesome.
I love the fact that they did that, and especially at a time where right now Patriots fans are definitely having a hard go of it. With Tom leaving, I think it's a really sensitive time. So I think that it's great that they decided to do something that is really helpful in giving back to the community and kind of giving you that faith, like, okay, we are the Patriots, we are united. I think that was a really good thing that they did to kind of not only, boost morale here, but when you look at the bigger picture, this is something that does not surprise me from the Kraft organization at all. They're known for giving back. They're known for doing big things. And obviously having this be such a crisis that it is, and watching, our first responders, our nurses, everybody out there on the front line, there's a need for it, and they just step up. And they do that so often in the community. And I'm so happy that this is an opportunity where they get to kind of highlight all the good work that they do, because I think a lot of times they do things kind of under the radar that will slide in here and there. But this is something really huge and really critical in this time. So I'm really happy that I think we all should remember to be proud to be New England fans during this time when they're doing something that is just so incredible.
And everybody's coming together as a community. And I know that you and I love entertainment. So let's talk a little bit about the Masked Singer and Rob Gronkowski as the White Tiger. Yes. What the heck do you think about that whole situation?
Okay, so first of all, I love that he picked the White Tiger, because that's actually little known fact about me. Other than my dog, this is my favorite animal, is the White Tiger. It's such a crazy thing. I just think that they're so adorable, and I love their story. But I just thought that that was the coolest thing that he did that. And it's funny that he did, because so many times my friends have watched it and they're like, do you think that's Rob Gronkowski? I bet it's Rob Gronkowski. And this time it finally was. So I think a lot of people felt vindicated, and they're like, yes, this finally am. But I think it was awesome. It was such a fun performance too. Everything he does is just gold.
Everything that he does, along with Camille, his girlfriend, everything that they do touches gold. And funny that you mentioned that. We're going to pop up this photo of Rob and Camille right now. We all love them to death. They're both good friends of both you and I. And what I absolutely love about this couple is not only 2 nights ago did they do a beer pong, let me tell you, a beer pong tournament. They Instagram lived it for everybody to raise money for COVID-19. They also got 10,000, I think they got like 10,000 masks and donated them both to Boston and New Jersey. How they got these masks, I'm not sure, but it was really great to see them come together, raise money, not only through playing beer pong, but also collecting these masks and giving them out to both Boston and New York. So it's great to see Camille and Rob giving back to the community.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome that they're doing it. And, like I was saying before, it's just something that the Patriots, like, when you see them, like, they're just doing amazing things. It's instilled with them, and I think it's part of who they are. So for Rob to be doing something like that is kind of no surprise, but it's also an incredible gesture, and I'm really happy that we get to have such people like that around us here in New England. It's a really good, strong show of community.
I completely agree with you. And speaking of power couples, we are going to segue right into our power couple. So we want to welcome Jess McCain and JP France. If you guys don't know who these awesome people are, Jess McCain was from MTV's The Challenge. She did multiple seasons. Her and I actually competed against each other 4 years ago. I can't believe it was that long ago. And her boyfriend is also a professional baseball pitcher, which is super cool, in the Houston Astros organization. Welcome, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Can you guys hear us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can you see both of us?
Yes, I can see you guys. I know
We see
you guys are Skyping in all the way from North Carolina. And what I want to jump right into, JP, I wanted to ask you first. So I know that you recently came back from spring training, and my friends and I actually flew down there for spring training. Literally, as we landed, the person that we went down to go see literally said, "Hey, Britt, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you're going to be bummed out or not, but there's actually going to be no baseball right now." And I was like, wait a minute, what? And the night before we flew out, I think it was like March 15th, that was right when the NBA completely axed the season for a bit. So I kind of had an idea that it was going to happen, but to fly all the way out to Florida to not see any baseball, I was kind of bummed out. But what's your whole situation like now, kind of being back into a mini off season? I know that Jess was telling me that you're picking up carpentry and you're still training a little bit, but how is it being out of the swing of things right now?
Yeah, it's tough. When we first got down there, I think we were down in spring training for like 5 days or something. I spent the whole off season. Everything felt good. We started a bunch of bullpens. Was actually supposed to throw my first bullpen on Friday, and we had an off day on Friday and left on Saturday. So it was tough. We didn't know how long we were going to be back. Obviously, now we know it's going to be a lot longer than we thought. But yeah, I actually got kind of lucky. One of the guys that finished in low A, Brett Daniels, he's over here and he's throwing with me a little bit. It's tough though because we're on lockdown now, so we really can't get any parks or anything. So I might have to buy a net or something and throw in the backyard. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, speaking on the carpentry thing, we were sitting at dinner one night and somebody was saying, "Hey, if we had chickens, we wouldn't have to buy so many eggs and all that." And I'm like, okay. So I got bored one day and I drew up a chicken coop on a piece of yellow Post-it note. Yeah. And then the next night I said, "Hey, what would y'all do if I built a chicken coop in y'all's backyard?" And our parents said, "No, go for it." I said, "All right." So that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, now we got 11 chicks in the living room right now.
Oh my
gosh. We gotta wait about 3 more weeks before they can go in the chicken coop.
So you're really doing this. You've got like a whole new hobby, a whole new thing.
Absolutely. Yep. It took me about a week to build it. She wouldn't let me cut anything, obviously, because I couldn't risk cutting my right hand.
Well, yeah, it's kind of necessary.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me cut anything.
He slept by the chickens the whole first week we had them home. I guess it's been 6 days at this point. He's like, "I'm gonna sleep on the couch to make sure the babies are okay."
Oh,
That's so cute.
He like gets up in the morning and the first thing he does is like checks every single chicken and he talks to them and he makes sure their food is full. And it's really cute. It's giving them something to do that's different than baseball though.
They don't stop eating. They've eaten about 5 pounds of food in 5 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love that. So you're sort of learning that you have a new fun hobby and a skill that you probably wouldn't have known that you even had if this new off season didn't happen, which is kind of interesting.
No doubt, and that's one thing you got to do with what time you have off. If you drive yourself crazy thinking, "Man, when's the season going to start? Is it going to start in a week? Is it going to start in a month?" If you start trying to figure all that out, like I said, you're going to drive yourself nuts. So you really got to find something to take your mind, even though you want to try to figure out when it's going to start, to kind of take your mind off of baseball and just kind of relax.
I know we're all rooting for, obviously, the baseball season to start and the rest of the sports to kick back into gear. But I want to hear a little bit about your relationship. So Jess was telling me that you guys met on Bumble, but sometimes you guys joke around and say that you guys met on the baseball field. So Jess, I want to hear from your mouth, like sort of what it was like meeting on Bumble and going on those dates. And I think that's super cute because the guy that I'm actually dating, we actually met in person in Boston during his off season, of course. But we actually didn't really start dating until he DM'd me on Instagram. So I feel like meeting online is kind of like the new thing nowadays.
Are those the chicks?
Hang on.
I like that. Let's see one.
Oh my God, this is
amazing.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, no, she's just now starting to get her wings. And so they're starting to try and fly. But you can see they're losing their fuzz. I don't know if you can see. And so they're getting their big brown feathers.
Oh, this
And
is
it's
so
like-
cute.
They grow up so fast.
Oh, that's so adorable. Oh my goodness, I love that. What a good surprise.
I can't tell you, never did I think I was going to meet a guy on Bumble and start raising 11 chickens with him. But so far, so good.
What has been your most interesting date so far? Obviously, you guys are down in North Carolina together. You sort of have all this free time that you don't normally have. So, what are you guys doing with so much free time? Because I know at the beginning of your relationship, being or dating a pro athlete, you had to deal with long distance for a little bit. Can you talk about the long distance?
The long distance sucked. I actually met JP when I came home for a couple of weeks. I was moving to Aspen, taking a chef job out there. So I was super excited about it. Met this guy. The day I met him, I came home actually. My mom's like, well, how'd it go? I'm like, well, I met my husband. And, and they all started laughing. I'm like, no, I'm really liking guys. Like, I'm serious. And so here we are. And we've had a lot of fun dates. We've had a lot of interesting dates. You have to be really innovative when your guy's a baseball player. You know, a lot of nights spent at the baseball field, just waiting. I guess one of my favorite was probably our first date. We sat on the couch and watched Disney movies, and as unconventional as that could be, like, I drank wine, he had a beer, and we watched Disney movies. We talked.
I'm a sucker for Disney movies.
Really? Emma, that sounds like a date night that you would like.
I'd love that.
I feel like that's every girl's dream date. Like, come over in your sweatpants, bring your bottle of wine, and we'll watch a Disney.
Yes, that's perfect. All right, so what were the movies that you guys watched, or what are your favorites?
My favorite's The Lion King.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
I think, what is my favorite? I'm Beauty and the Beast. I think that'll always be my favorite.
Such a good one. Such a good one. I love Lion King, but that one part gets me every time.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
The tears just come right down.
And I also wanted to talk about the fact that, Jess, so you spent a lot of time both in North Carolina and Tennessee. So you sort of grew up in the South. And I know that, JP, you grew up in New Orleans. So how do you guys kind of like blend together? I'm sure you guys have different dishes that you like to make and different styles. And JP, I can hear that you kind of have like a little cute Southern twang. Like, how do you guys blend together the different cultures, which is super interesting to me?
Well, first, I'll let her do all the talking after this. I don't make any dishes. It's all her. She's the cook.
He makes really good eggs.
Well, I should hope so with all those chickens.
I don't know. I got to spend some time with him down in New Orleans, and I got to learn how to make like etouffee, and we ate crawfish. So definitely being around him and his family has broadened my horizons as far as cooking goes. I'm Mexican, and my dad's family is Southern, so like I was cooking Mexican food and Southern food, and then some fine dining dishes. But I'd never eaten etouffee before. I didn't know what it was. I hadn't had Cajun food, but it's incredible. I mean, it was really neat to get down there and learn that culture.
That's awesome.
I think that's super awesome. Do you guys, I think you were kind of talking about it, but do you eat crawfish where you guys come from? Is that like a thing?
Who's that? Me?
Yeah, or I guess either one of you guys.
Yeah, we eat it every year around February through April is like prime crawfish season. So, I mean, and I think we only had like 2 boils, but yeah, I could sit down and eat like 15, 20 pounds of crawfish easy.
So it's funny because that's where my husband actually went for his bachelor party. He went to New Orleans and he had like the best time. He came back with a giant crawfish tattoo. Like giant. And he comes home and he comes in the bathroom. I told the story before. He comes into the bathroom and he's like, hey babe, I got a tattoo. And he just turns around and pulls his pants down. And I was like, what is this? It was on the back of his calf, like this giant red, it's like a crawfish playing guitar. I was like, full color. I was like, this
funny.
This can't be real. But it was,
and it's big too, guys. It's like literally like this big.
So big. Like, it's so big. It was the funniest thing that happened. But now, like, every single time I think of like Louisiana and New Orleans, all I think of is like these crawfish. Just crawfish.
Yeah, they definitely have a bunch of different stuff to do down there. I'm actually, I guess if somebody's not from Louisiana, I tell them I'm from New Orleans because that's the only city really anybody knows over there. That and Baton Rouge. But I'm actually like 30 minutes west of it, almost in the boonies. not quite in the city. But I guess y'all could have figured that out because I can't raise chickens in a city like that. So, but yeah, I'm really not too much of a city person. I just a lot of people, they just aggravate me. So I like to get away from a lot of people.
Fair enough.
And speaking of being around a lot of people, Jess, I want to hear all about your experiences being on the Real World, of course. So you were on Real World Portland, I believe it was season 28, correct me if I'm wrong. And you also did multiple seasons of MTV's The Challenge. One of the seasons you actually competed with me, with Dustin. We were on Battle of the X's season 2. So I want to hear from your perspective, like, or we can both kind of chat about it. What is it like living in a house with all these strangers and competing for money and how hostile it can be? And then we'll switch over and talk about JP and get his competitive edge from him with baseball.
It can be pretty crazy. I mean, I'm not really one for drama, so sometimes the producers would be like, hey, Jess, why when these two people were arguing, did you just leave the room? I'm like, because I'm here to compete and win, not arguing, like, get my butt kicked physically. I'm not trying to get in the middle of two people fighting. So it definitely gets crazy. You know, you're without your cell phone for weeks on end. You don't get to talk to your parents. Personally, for me, not talking to my mom every day was really hard. It's just like being in a bubble. No connections to the outside world. You kind of start losing, kind of like quarantine. You know, if quarantine didn't have clocks or really good food, it would be like that. So if you're miserable now, just imagine being stuck with like 20 other people that you don't really like.
I don't know. That sounds hard.
I think it's really interesting. So before we did this interview, I actually had Emma watch the challenge the other day. And she was literally freaking out. She was texting me. She's like, Britt, is this really what you guys did? Is it really that dangerous? Did you guys really live in a bunker?
That's so crazy. Like, when I see the heights challenges, I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't mind being in a house with people. Like, it's cool, whatever. You know, it will, you know, at some point eventually it'll all work out. You know, you'll be able to move home. But what scared me the most was the heights because I'm terrified of heights. And if they put me in a thing with like spiders or bugs or anything, no.
Heights are the worst.
But you got through it. What was your part that was the scariest thing for you?
Heights. I mean, just like when they first, like when they pull you up there, whether it's heights over water or heights over rocks or between two buildings, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, everyone's like, well, you have a harness and you're strapped in. I'm like, yeah, to what? I don't know the guy that strapped me in this harness. I don't know him from Adam. So it's hard to really trust that, you know, and humans are your biggest safety net in this whole heights deal. That's terrifying alone. Much like yourself, I am deathly afraid of heights. So every time I go up on the heights challenges, I would pray. There's one episode where I was going across this like log. Actually, it was the photo that you guys put up. And I reached the other side, and the first thing I said was, yes, thank you, God. Thank you, I did not die. Like, that was my biggest fear. I was going to fall off one of these things and die. Why I did it again and again, I don't know. Maybe I'm insane. But you're right. It's probably the worst feeling in the entire world to be stuck up on top of a building and have 15 people behind you either rooting for you to fail or rooting for you to win because their future depends on it. It's insanely nerve-wracking.
I think the scariest challenge from my perspective, speaking of heights, because it was the first challenge we had to do on that season, it was like popping my challenge cherry. These people literally get us up at 5 a.m. We take a private plane. Remember going to downtown Panama? These people made us tightrope across skyscrapers for our very first challenge. Do you remember that, Jess?
Yes.
I was driving through on the buses being like, what the heck are they going to make us do? And lo and behold, TJ's like, all right, guys, today you're going to be walking across these skyscrapers. And we're like, what the heck? And all you hear is like the people honking the horns down below. And do you remember, I vaguely remember people hanging out of like, it looked like it was a hotel, like taking videos of us walking across. That was a really scary challenge. What did you think about that challenge?
I hated that one. I mean, when you're by yourself, it's like between you and God. Like, or whoever your higher power is, or whoever you pray to when you're stuck up on a building that high. And that's fine because I think it gives you a moment to kind of bring yourself in. You have a moment to say, okay, girl, like, put your big girl panties on, let's do this. Everyone's watching you. But when somebody else is depending on you and yelling at you and telling you you're doing something wrong or just trying to communicate, I think it's even more scary. I think, like, that was probably one of the most difficult ones. We were on a tightrope on the bottom, and our partner was suspended Superman style above us, holding a rope. So we had to grab that rope and walk a tight line while pulling our partner across overhead of us. And at some point, the line dips down, and if you're short like me, like, your arms kind of don't stretch that far. We're not Stretch Armstrong, so you just have to, like, kind of give it everything that you got to get inches, and then eventually you fall, and it's terrifying.
I want to say, if I remember correctly, I want to say CT and DM Brown actually won that challenge. Rest in peace, DM Brown. I think she actually won that. And guys, if you are watching live, I'm sure that you are, feel free to ask any of us questions, Jess, JP, Emma, or myself. I think Emma probably has access to questions. If not, I know that Michael Zotos does. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us. We are more than happy to answer some of your questions. And I know we're going to probably cut to a commercial break very shortly as well.
Shout out to Antonio, by the way, who is watching tonight. Hey, Antonio, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you.
You can get them on screen now, too, girls. Oh, let me just check here. We can connect to Facebook and get all your comments and questions right here. Okay, so now
Perfect.
now you can. So anytime something pops up, you can get it on there.
Well, yeah. Emma, are you able to read any of the questions? Do you want to read some off? I can't see them,
I don't see any questions as of right now. Paul Forte says hello, Paul. Yeah, that's pretty much what we have for right now, but I'm also trying to refresh it. So this is a new world. Bear with us, people. We're trying to.
I know. Normally, guys, obviously you know that we're normally in studio and it's really easy for us to access questions. But for what we'll do right now, we will actually cut to a commercial break really soon. When we come back, we will talk to you guys about JP and his baseball experience and how it's been playing professional baseball and growing up in New Orleans and everything baseball related and sports related. And we will also talk about charity because, if you guys know, we go behind the scenes with some of your favorite sports entertainers on and off the field. So we're going to cut to a commercial break.
At Bad Martha, we believe in 3 things: great beer, getting bad, and doing good. Every sip of our premium craft beer is a reminder that there's a paradise out there where you can kick off your boat shoes, let your hair down, and leave it all behind. That paradise is Martha's Vineyard. And while there's a bit of bad in every drop of beer we brew, there's also a whole lot of good in every can or bottle we sell. That's because Bad Martha is built on a simple idea: community first. We're proud of our beer, but we're even more proud of the island that inspired it. So much that we built a second location, Bad Martha Falmouth. We hope you enjoy both just as much as we do, and join us on the island for an afternoon or in Falmouth for a slice of our homemade pizza. Bad Martha. Get bad, do good.
Rob Gronkowski here, ex-superstar in the game of football, and now I am in the business world. And today, I am proud to announce I am part owner with my brother of Ice Shaker. We're all about the grind. We are all about inspiring others to live a healthy lifestyle and be the best person you can be. And that's what Ice Shaker is all about. And that's what we are all about. And that's why we are here today. Because we are out there to live a purpose with joy, with passion, and to inspire optimal health. We are built on toughness. We are built on grinding. We are built on keeping your drink ice cold for more than 30 hours. Check us out. Proud brother, proud family member, iceshaker.com.
You can achieve a lot using your imagination. I mean, I don't like to brag, but... Wait, who's that? And why is she all over these achievement awards? But with STEM, the sky's the limit. Shaboom! Use STEM to envision... Okay, I'm seeing it. Yeah! Invent...
Got any ideas?
I've got a few, actually. And create a better world.
Told you she's super smart.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
Herd Restaurant, conveniently located here in Metro Square, features locally sourced, delicious meals created by a multi-talented chef. Herd satisfies even the most discerning palate. We'd love to welcome you to come to Herd so you may eat, drink, and spend time together. Watch for specials on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter feeds at Herd on Main, and come visit soon.
Hey
We're back,
everyone,
guys.
welcome
Yeah.
back. Thank you guys so much for staying with us today. I loved that first half. That was awesome.
And I want to thank Emma again. Thank you so much for coming back in. And I haven't seen you in a while, so I want to jump right into talking about all the great charity stuff that you've been working on.
Yeah, thank you. So it was obviously a very difficult decision for me to step away from BosBabes for a little bit, but I did it because there was something that I was inspired by. Thank you to, all the stuff that we had been doing, basically going to all of these charity events that we were doing. I realized that I had a real passion for focusing solely on those. So I wanted to kind of launch my own unique brand. So I did decide to branch off and launch my blog, EmmalynReid.com. So that picture that you guys just showed, I was at a charity event. It was a polar plunge to benefit Exhibit A Brewing in Framingham. They did that in order to raise money for the Special Olympics. And it's things like that that happen every week that I think that people don't realize. You go out to the bars every weekend and you're spending all of this money and, buying drinks and stuff, before the pandemic started. And there are just so many ways that you can give back in your own communities and do fun things and, maybe, have a glass of wine, maybe win a prize. And at the same time that you're doing that, you're still mingling and meeting new people and having fun with your friends even. But you're also able to give back while you do it. So I think that was the important thing that I started noticing more of, and I decided to launch my own charity blogs focused specifically on that, but also do a video component that I do as well. So it's been interesting because, of course, I go and I launch all that, and I have a full calendar all the way through June, and then the pandemic hits, of course. So a lot of events are canceled, but that's okay because I believe that, if nothing else, it's shown us that there are other ways that we can and should be focusing on giving back right now to those in need. And I highlight a lot of those on this blog.
I completely agree with all of that. And you guys will see more of Emma, both hopefully in studio and also on site with me. As Emma mentioned, we had a lot of fun events that we were supposed to go to in the coming months. One of my favorites, which I wish it was still going on at the end of the month, her and I were both supposed to attend the Reid Gala. That was supposed to happen April 29th. And we were supposed to do Bowl with the Bruin in May, which Emma, I'll tell you right now, they just put that off as well, which I'm super bummed about. But they're going to be rescheduling that for September. So you guys know that Emma and I work a lot with the Patriots, the Celtics, the Boston Bruins alumni team. So there's a lot of fun events that happen around the Boston area. And if you guys are ever interested in any of those, keep track of Emma's blog and also our show, because we like to highlight stuff like that. And we want to talk a little bit about JP and your baseball career. And Jess was telling me all about some of the cool stuff that you do with your baseball team. And she was also mentioning to me that you guys actually have to sign up for this charity. It's not like you're forced into it, which is super cool to me. She mentioned that you guys do things like Pups in the Park pet adoption. You mentor some kids in your off season. And sometimes you guys are involved with something called Woodpecker for a Day, where if a kid happens to be sick, he gets to sign a one-day contract and be a part of the team. So can you kind of explain some of the great things that you do within your baseball organization?
Right, and with the Woodpeckers, the high A team that's right here in North Carolina, they had a pups adopt a pet or pups in the park, something like that, whatever it was called. That was by far my favorite one. I'm a huge animal friend, love animals. And when they said that they were doing pups in the park, I was all for it. I was the first one signed up on the list. If there's any time I can pet a dog, touch a dog, something, I'm in. I'm all in.
Did you guys get any of these dogs put up for adoption? Because Jess was kind of explaining to me that essentially they took some pups, you guys went to a park, you were kind of playing with them and hoping that people would adopt them. So how was that experience? Did anybody actually adopt any puppies, or does it ever happen? I'm sure that it does.
I'm not sure if they ended up getting adopted or not. I know one dog, our manager and his wife was actually a foster home to that one dog, or they might have adopted him. I'm not sure. But no, they brought all these dogs to the field for us, and we had a big photo shoot for them. They took them around the stadium, took pictures of different dogs. It was really fun.
And I also know that you like to mentor and coach kids in the off season. What is that experience like, having these little kids kind of look up to you and look at you as obviously a role model for them? What is that experience like?
Oh, it's fun. Sometimes it can get a little aggravating when they don't listen, but no, it's a blast, and I don't even think about those kids looking up to me like that. I'm just.
They totally do, though. They think, like, they come up to him, like, Mr. JP, can you sign my ball? Or they'll, like, give him, like, little toys to take with him. One of his kids, like, at the end of the season when he leaves to go back to training, one of his little kids gives him, like an insane amount
beef jerky and coffee.
Yeah, jerky, coffee, or this one time for Christmas, this little kid baked, and his mom baked cookies and pralines, and he was so excited. He was like, "Yes, look, I have this for JP." I mean, he was so excited to give him this box of cookies he had handmade. The little boy couldn't sit still.
I think that's so sweet, and I want to hear about your whole experience with what got you into baseball as a child. I'm sure you were into a couple of different sports. Like a lot of the pro athletes that Emma and I talked to, they're into like football and hockey, but what made you decide on baseball? And then I want to hear from Jess's perspective, what it's like being a WAG and having to deal with the long hours and know that you're gone and traveling, and what that whole situation is like, and the mental aspect of being a pro athlete's girlfriend.
I couldn't tell you how I got into baseball. I started playing t-ball when I was probably 4 years old. But I like the same thing pitching wise. I think I was 8 or 9, and they picked the kids who had the best arms, and it just took off from there. I never really thought about, how did I start playing baseball? It was always just a thing.
I think that it's been your dad. You're in a dad's thing. Your dad seems to be very involved with everything that you do.
Yep. And I mean, when I was little until high school, I played baseball and a little bit of golf. Me and my dad would go to the golf course. And then when I hit high school, I started playing football. And I liked it. I was actually, believe it or not, I was a center in high school. 6 foot 215 center. That doesn't make sense. And it's the one that snaps the ball.
Oh, I thought it was
in the middle of everything. And senior year came around, and our high school coach, he was a coach that he wanted you to play 2 sports. He said that college scouts, they look for multi-sport guys coming out of high school. I said, okay, I'll stick with football. Senior year rolls around. I said, I want to play football this year. He said, you're playing football. I said, what if I get hurt? He said, you're not going to get hurt. Play football your last year. I think it was 3-4 weeks into the season. I was holding a pad for a drill, and I tore my labrum in my left shoulder.
Oh, wow.
I walked up to the baseball coach. Me and him are really good friends. He's back at the high school. That's where I do my lessons at. But I walked up to him. I was like, you're lucky it was my left shoulder. And we just had a good laugh about it. But that's really the only sports I've really played was been golf and football and then baseball.
I think that's super awesome. I always like to ask that question because it's kind of interesting to see how a pro athlete gets to where they're at, because a lot of you guys, again, as a kid, you kind of experienced trying out golf or playing t-ball or maybe playing some flag football. So it's kind of interesting to hear how you go from playing flag football into being a professional baseball pitcher, which I think is super cool. And I want to hear from Jess's perspective what it's like being the girlfriend of a professional athlete, like knowing that you travel so much, knowing that his job is very demanding, and how you are basically his main support system. I remember you and I were on the phone the other day, and you essentially told me that you are putting your chef career on hold to be his backbone, and I find that very admirable.
Well, that is correct, and thank you for that, because some people don't see it that way. But, I mean, when you meet someone who's your best friend and they are extremely talented, you want to be able to give them that support they need and deserve. Every day he supports me no matter what I want to do, and he's always just so supportive and inspiring that it's easy to want to help him. You know, he has a dream that has a time limit on it. He has, you know, a set amount of years that he can play. So I said, you know what? I can come back to my career when it's time. And right now, it's all about you and your career. So I came home 3 months after we met and said, you got my 1,000%. I'll be there at every game that I can be at. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you succeed. And that's how it's been ever since. I mean, being a girlfriend of a professional athlete is tough because you never know. You cannot plan anything. Like, you can't plan birthdays, you can't plan holidays. Like, my family's like, why isn't he coming to the family reunion? I'm like, well, because he's a professional athlete. Or, well, can't he just ask for off? I'm like, no, it's not a part-time job. Like, this is his life. Like that's all that matters. You know, rain delays, double headers into a midnight release. You know, I'm there for all of it. I don't ever leave, because if I leave, even if he's not playing, he still has to be there. And if I leave, that's showing him that something else is more important, or that, in my eyes, I'm not as committed as he is. And so I've had, you know, lots of late nights at the ball field, made lots of friends. I hang out with the other girlfriends and we just eat concession food and talk about how much it sucks to not be able to plan anything. But at the end of the day, it's so rewarding when he, you know, goes out there and has an incredible outing and everyone's so proud of him. We go out afterwards for beer and food, and it's really cool to see him through this process.
I love it. And I know that you and I were also talking about the mental aspect of the game. During his off season, you help him meditate, you make him his meals, and you basically help keep yourself mentally and physically sane, as well as being his backbone and helping him do the same. JP, how does that help you in your career, having such a supportive woman?
Oh, it's amazing. What?
We just never talked about that before.
It's
glad
just,
I'm bringing it out for you guys here.
No, it's awesome. Like, I had an outing last season. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to say.
I had like 2-3 good outings in a row, and then I had 2 bad outings in a row. Walked in the dugout, threw my glove, threw my hat, cleats, everything. Lifted the bench up, started packing my bags. Said I'm done. So I texted her. I said, I'm done with. I'm wasting time here. All this blah blah blah. Phone rings. I'm like, uh-oh.
He dropped an F-bomb in that conversation, and I was like,
Phone rings. I'm like, oh no, what's going on here? Answer the phone. Say hello. She's like, first off, don't you curse at me when you get mad or have a bad outing. And she said, second off, if you want to quit, quit. Go ahead, do it.
Then it would make it a lot easier on me if you just want to quit and come home and we can start our life doing something else. And as soon as I said that, he got really quiet.
After that, I'm like, I don't quit at anything.
But we had only been dating for like what? Like two and a half
3
months?
Yeah.
So I'm like giving this guy the wherefore. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna dump me. Like, I thought for sure, y'all, it was like over. Because I don't raise my voice often, I don't get angry. But to see him feel so defeated and like give up on himself after we both like been so dedicated to his career, quitting on yourself, and I thought it was over at that point. But he called me back and he's like, "Thank you so much for telling me to get my head out of my rear." I
like that. Sometimes you need that extra person to help keep you mentally stable. Like Emma, for example, she's married, she has a husband. She always tells me that sometimes she has to be there to sort of kick Jacoby up in the butt about the brewery stuff, and everybody needs somebody to give them a little smack up the butt sometimes. I mean, I need it. Emma, I remember I went through a really bad breakup last season or last year, and Emma was up my butt 24/7 being like, Britt, this isn't you. You need to get your life back together, like stop crying. So I feel like everybody needs that good support system. And I know that Emma can attest to that.
Yeah, everybody needs it. And I think that's what's most important is when you find a partner, you have to really think about, is that something that I can do? You know, how much do I support their career? You have to really be willing when you meet somebody. Like, I mean, I don't even drink beer, and I'm married to a brewer that, like, on a Sunday, he's like, okay, I've got to go in and can. Okay, I've got to go do this. And I'll be like, well, babe, like, I'm trying to plan a party. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it's similar to, it's funny. It's what you said, Jess. And he'll be like, well, no, I have to host a brew class that night. Like, we're doing some party at the brewery. I have to be there. I have to talk to people. Like, there are just certain things that, you know, when someone has something that they love, you just want to pour everything into supporting them. And it comes with, you know, kind of sacrifices, yes, but at the end of the day, when you sit down and you look back at your day, you're like, wow, we did really, really meaningful things for both of our lives with this day. And I think that's what's most important.
What do you guys have for your future plans? I know we're all kind of sitting here talking about things that are happening presently, of course, and how we're all supporting one another, how having that right partner is great, especially in a career like yours. But what do you guys have planned for the future? I know that eventually the ban will be lifted for sports, and you're going to go back to a potential second spring training and jump into the season. What are your lives going to be like then? Are you guys going to be traveling together? Are you excited for the upcoming baseball season? Paint a picture of the upcoming baseball season for us.
Well, it's going to be filled with a lot of eggs, first off.
Just in time for Easter.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to really plan anything right now because you don't know when anything's going to pick up. I mean, you want to say, oh, we got this plan, the season's going to start here, and then all this. But right now, you don't know. You have no idea. So.
Now you know how I feel.
Jess, do you have any future plans? I know that obviously you're waiting to see what happens with JP's career, but in the meantime, would you ever, let me ask you this question. I know we kind of talked about it. Would you ever go back on another challenge or no? Because I know that a lot of fans are probably wondering that. Because I know that I get asked that question all the time. Britt, can you go back and compete? Will you go back and compete? And my answer is, heck yes, I'll go back and compete. But that's only because I don't have any kids yet. But the second I have kids, I'm going to probably say no because a lot of the stuff that we do is dangerous. But what is your answer to that question?
No. I think I got all of my my wild hair out during the my early years in the challenges and stuff like that. I mean, I started doing challenges when I was 21. I'm 29. Fear starts to set in when you're over 25 and don't have kids yet. I'm like, if I don't make it out of a challenge and I never had kids, like, I'd be sad. I mean, I don't think it would matter at that point if I didn't make it out. But, I started to think about things like that. And what if I got hurt? And I have so many more self-preservation fears at this age than I did then. So I think the challenge is a pretty big no for me these days because I'm a chicken.
Hey, Britt, we got 1 minute.
All right, guys. So we have 1 minute. We're going to wrap up the show. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
and I'd love to have Emma give her positive pop because she's really good at positive pop. And if you guys want, make sure you check out JP and Jess online. They obviously have social media, so if you want to keep up with their careers, obviously follow the BosBabes as well, and Emma online. And Emma, give us your positive pop, girl. I'm so happy you're back with us tonight.
I know. Thank you again so much for having me. This has been really awesome. So my positive pop for this week is something that I actually heard. I don't know if anybody watches Hillsong, but I follow the Hillsong Church, and I loved one that they put up last week, and it was "Don't waste this crisis." If you look at everything that's going on, of course, you could sit in bed all day, you could binge watch TV, or you could do something productive with it, like JP now has a bunch of chickens. I think this is amazing that you guys have chickens now. We're still focusing on this podcast, and of course I've been focused on the blog, but everybody I think should take a moment to think about something. Maybe you wanted to repaint your living room, maybe you wanted to learn a new language, maybe you wanted to just try something new you've never done before, or maybe you want to enhance your career in one way or another. Find a way not to waste this crisis. And if you don't know what to do and you're bored out of your mind, there are tons of ways that you can help others, and you can find them from looking on my blog too.
I love that. That was an excellent positive pop. And guys, we would love to have you back on the show. maybe towards the end of the season and have you guys talk about what it was like traveling and playing baseball.